Buenas and Hafaday. The Committee on Rules hereby convenes this meeting. For the record, today is Thursday, February 21st, 2019, and the time is now 2:08 p.m. The COR Director, Ms. Mary Maravilla, will now call the roll of members.
Chairperson Rêgine Biscoe Lee.
Buenas, Gaigyat.
Legislative Secretary Amanda L. Shelton.
Present.
Speaker Tina Rose Munoz Barnes. Vice Speaker Talina Cruz Nelson. Senator Kelly Marsh Tatano, PhD. Senator Sabina Flores Perez.
Present.
Senator Clinton E. Rogel.
Here.
Senator Joe S. San Augustine.
Gagizu.
Senator Jose T. Terlahi. Senator Therese M. Terlahi. Senator James C. Moylan.
Present.
Senator Mary Camacho Torres. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Situas Maasi, Mayor. Does the chair hear a motion to excuse members not present?
So
Moved by Senator Torres, seconded by Speaker Barnes. It's been moved and seconded that members not present be excused. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. We'll also move to ratify this section would be the motion to ratify our core minutes, but we don't have any since this is our first meeting. So we'll move on to core business, and the Legislative Secretary will now provide a report on the document tracking for Ilespetur and Guahan.
Siduous Masi, Madam Chair. Hafaday, everyone. Good afternoon. The Legislative Secretary reports to date are as follows. Appointments by the Governor. There are 29 appointments submitted by Governor Leon Guerrero. I would like to state for the record that 6 appointments have met their potential due date, and they are the appointment of Ms. Therese C. Areola to serve as Director of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, the appointment of Mr. Edward Byrne to serve as Director of the Department of Administration, the appointment of Ms. Melanie W. Brennan to serve as Director of the Department of Youth Affairs, the appointment of Mr. David De La Sola to serve as Director of the Department of Labor, the appointment of Ms. Jane T. Flores to serve as Director of the Bureau of Women's Affairs, and the appointment of Daniel Leon Guerrero to serve as the Executive Director of the Civil Service Commission. There are no zone changes to report at this time, and no rules and regulations to be reported at this time. Siduous Masi.
Siduous Masi, Madam Secretary. We'll now move to our session agenda. Committee reports.
Can I
Senator
just add
Terlahi.
on the report? It's probably, from at least a day ago. I know I submitted one report today, so I just wanted to put that on the record. There's one for Linda DeNorsi that was submitted to Committee on Rules today. Thank you. I know it's late for the deadline.
Yeah, so what the Secretary was reading were it's the timing for the nominations that were received by the legislature from the governor. This is what we're moving on to now is the agenda items and then the things that were received by Committee on Rules. That's not what she was reading.
Adding it to her report. Because she has a status here on the reports, so that's all. Right?
Moving on to the session agenda. Committee reports for the following items have been duly filed by the Committee on Rules. The following bills have been cleared by session agenda consideration. The first one is Bill number 23-34 COR, authored by Vice Speaker Talina Cruz Nelson. Bill number 30-35 COR, authored by Speaker Tina Rose Munoz Barnes. The following nominations have been cleared for session agenda consideration as well. The appointment of Teresa C. Areola to serve as the Director of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. The appointment of Edward Byrne to serve as Director of Department of Administration. The appointment of Melanie W. Brennan to serve as Director of Department of Youth Affairs. The appointment of Dave De La Sola to serve as the Director of Department of Labor. The appointment of Jane T. Flores to serve as Director of Bureau of Women's Affairs, and the appointment of Daniel Leon Guerrero to serve as Executive Director of Civil Service Commission. And I'd also like to note for the record that the appointment of Linda DeNorsi as the Director of Department of Public Health and Social Services has been submitted to the Committee on Rules and is currently being reviewed by the committee. Are there any motions to place these items on the session agenda? I will recognize Senator Joe San Augustine.
Madam Chair, your request is asking for the bills and the nomination to be moved to the session floor?
Yeah, we'll take bills first.
All right, then I moved in that Bill 23-35, authored by Senator Tina Cruz, an act to amend Section 4104B of Chapter 4, Title 4, Guam Code annotated relative to the preference points added to the applicant's scores upon application for employment. Be moved.
Move. That's bill number 23-35
Yes,
as introduced.
that's correct.
Moved by Senator San Augustine and is seconded
Second.
by Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes. Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator San Augustine.
Also on Bill number 30-35, COR as amended by the Committee on Public Accountability, Human Resources, and the Guam Buildup, introduced by Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes, an act to add Section 4302F1 of Chapter 4, Title 4, Guam Code annotated, relative to requiring all private hospitals be covered under the Government of Guam health insurance contract.
Moved by Senator Joe San Augustine. That's bill number 30-35 as amended. Do I hear a second?
Could you please clarify the amendment that was made by the
Yes.
committee?
The amendment, again, thank you, Senator Terlai, was not the bill that was introduced, was amended when we were in public hearing, and it was not to include all subscribers, but just to include Gov Guam employees, active employees, and their retirees. And that's the amendment, and there will be further amendments when we get into session floor. So again, it's as amended. So
Thank you, Speaker, for the clarification. Again, that's bill number 30-35 as amended. It's been moved by Senator San Augustine. Do I hear a second? Oh, a question by Senator Torres. You're recognized.
Madam Speaker, with regard to the amendments that you're proposing for the to be made on the floor, in your estimate, do you foresee that these amendments may be substantive amendments that may require additional input and analysis from all the parties involved, stakeholders involved?
yes, I believe that every and all aspects of what will be presented on session floor will suffice to my colleagues.
Okay, so in other words, they won't be substantive amendments, and that the
What was included in the public hearing as recommended by the amendment that I will make on session floor, Senator Torres, will include the authorizing the negotiating team, the insurance team that I also have oversight of, to be a part of the equation to make sure that we move forward with including our active employees of Gov Guam and their retirees, to be able to be a part of being able to access both hospitals here on Guam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was just asking that point of clarification because many people that follow our procedures are well aware of that, and I just was making that point on the record
Yes,
to pacify those concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Torres. Again, there's been a motion by Senator San Augustine. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes. Any objection to placing bill number 30-35 onto the session agenda?
No objection.
Hearing none, motion carries. Senator San Augustine, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, I'd like to apologize. Bill 19-35, it didn't meet the deadline to the COR, but it is on file. And that is a bill that was introduced by Senator James Moreland, an act to add Section 54102I of Article 1, Chapter 54 of Title 5, Guam Code annotated relative to prohibiting the authorization of any withdrawal or transfer of cash or funds from the Territorial Highway Fund to the general fund for any non-prescribed purpose and to make such an act a misdemeanor.
Thank you, Senator. That's Bill number 19-35 as introduced,
Yes, as introduced.
and you are the author.
Senator Moylan is. It came from my committee.
Authored by Senator James Moylan, moved by Senator San Augustine. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Moylan. Any objection to adding Bill number 19-35 to the session agenda? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator San Augustine, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, I have Bill 4 that was just turned in yesterday and is still going through the gauntlet with the Committee on Rules. And I expect that by Monday morning, when we open session, I will introduce and ask that it be added to our session, and that is Bill 4-35 LS, introduced by myself, co-sponsored by Senator Terlai, Jose Terlai, Senator Sabina Flores Perez, Senator Clinton Ruggiero, an act to amend Section 24103B of Article 1, Chapter 24, Title 11, Guam Code annotated, relative to clarifying the additional tax levy on real property improvements valued at $1 million or more. Thank you, ma'am.
Sidus Masi, Senator, duly noted. Any other member wish to be recognized to add nominations to our session agenda? Senator Ruggiero?
I'd like to make a motion to add the nominations of...
Let's take them one by one.
Sorry?
One by one.
Let me get the correct name. Chelsea Munya-Brecht as Director of the Department of Agriculture.
I apologize, Senator, we still haven't received the report for Chelsea Munya-Brecht, but pending...
Yes,
the
it should
report.
be ready before then, yeah.
Okay, then I just ask that we could maybe discuss that in motions when we get to the floor.
Sure.
And once that's all complete and it's gone through the Committee on Rules process, then we can add it. Do you have
Okay.
anything else on any of that's listed here that you'd like to add? Okay, thank you. Senator Lahi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move the appointment of Teresa C. Arreola to serve as Director of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center to be placed on the agenda.
There's been a motion to add Teresa C. Arreola, the nomination of Teresa C. Arreola as Director of Department of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center to our agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Shelton. Any objection? No. Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Lahi? Speaker Barnes?
Madam Chair, if I may, I'd like to move for the appointment of Mr. Daniel Leon Guerrero to serve as Executive Director of the Civil Service Commission.
On the nomination, the appointment of Daniel Leon Guerrero, seconded by Senator Shelton. Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Speaker Mooney Barnes?
Thank you, Madam Chair, if I may. For the appointment of David De Sola to serve as the Director of the Department of Labor, I ask that it be placed on the agenda.
Moved by Speaker Tina Mooney Barnes, David Del Sola to serve as the Director of the Department of Labor. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Senator Mary Camacho Torres. Any objection?
No objection.
Hearing none, motion carries.
I can move if nobody wants.
Yeah, I'll acknowledge her. Thank you.
Yeah,
Senator Shelton?
Sidus Masi, Madam Chair, I move for the appointment of Melanie W. Brennan to serve as the Director of the Department of Youth Affairs be placed on the session agenda.
It's been moved by Senator Shelton. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Senator Kelly Marsh Taitano. Any objection to the appointment of Melanie W. Brennan to serve as Director of Department of Youth Affairs to be added to our session agenda?
No
Hearing
objection.
none, motion carries. Senator Shelton?
Thank you. I move for the appointment of Jane T. Flores to serve as the Director of the Bureau of Women's Affairs to be placed on our session agenda.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Kelly Marsh Taitano.
It's yours.
Any objection to adding the appointment of Jane T. Flores to serve as the Director of the Bureau of Women's Affairs? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Shelton? Hearing none. Senator San Augustine, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, I move that the appointment of Edward Byrne to serve as Director of Department of Administration be moved to the floor.
Do I hear a second? Seconded by Senator Sabina Paris. Any objection to the appointment of Edward Byrne to serve as the Director of Department of Administration? Hearing none, motion carries. Are there any other motions?
All right. Then I'd like to add, or make a motion to add the appointment of Linda DeNorsi as Director of the Department of Public Health and Social Services to the agenda.
Thank you. Senator Terlahi, do I hear a second? Second. It's been moved by Senator Therese Terlahi and seconded by Speaker Tina Mooney Barnes. The appointment of Linda DeNorsi to be the Director of the Department of Public Health and Social Services. This appointment has been received by Committee on Rules and pending review will also be added to our session agenda. Any other motions? We'll now move to the extension of remarks. So we'll open up the floor for further discussion. Any member wish to be heard?
Just make one comment, Madam Chair. Our public hearing calendar is booked, and it's getting very difficult to find times and slots for some of these public hearings or for appointment hearings, and I just wanted to note that on the record. And so if anybody wants to give some time up, or if you're thinking you're not going to use your slot, just to let us know in advance, 5 days hopefully, so we can put out a notice. I'll take any slots available.
Thank you.
Masi.
Does the chair hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes, Madam Chair, but I just wanted to add it to the remarks of Senator Chulai that the Office of Finance and Budget is not going to be scheduling budgeting where it closes up the month. That was previously used as budget reports are submitted. We're going to schedule the hearing and move on from there.
Thank you.
All right, so that if any of the senators do need the dates that I have reserved, please don't hesitate to call me in advance so that you'll meet the 5-day open government rule, and we will free it up. We may only need a couple hours. I don't like long hearings if we don't have to. Thank you. Other than that, motion to adjourn.
There's been a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Moylan. Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. The Committee on Rules hereby adjourns this meeting at 2:26 p.m. Sizos Masi for your attendance and your participation. Thank you.